Okay, friends, welcome back to our online Bible study in the Gospel of John. Today is a bit of an extension of yesterday. Now, if you didn't watch yesterday, you'll still get something out of this, but you get more if you watch yesterday also. So today we look at the actual crucifixion of Jesus. Tomorrow we'll look at the death of Jesus, but today we look at him actually being crucified. This happens right outside of the walls of Jerusalem. This is not way far out in some field on like a grassy hill. No. This is right outside of the walls of Jerusalem on likely a hill that is not very large. It's like a rocky area. And he's not crucified by himself. Why? Well, you're used to knowing that Jesus has people on either side of him, but what's the kind of the point of that? Well, I think part of it is just historically speaking, the Romans crucified people all the time. This is no big deal to them. Crucified people all the time. This wasn't some big thing. You just throw the crosses up right outside of the city so that people can see them, and you kill these folks. What we're going to pick up today is where we left off yesterday with this idea of Pilate. What's the deal with Pilate? Pilate is a character that I think that we ought to be able to relate to, a historical figure that we ought to be able to relate to, because we're not like the disciples if we're really honest with ourselves. We're not all in the way that they are often. We're also not like these religious leaders who are trying to kill Jesus. We're not like that. We're kind of like Pilate. Per our conversation yesterday, he's bouncing back and forth in the light and in the dark and having a hard time understanding what the light and the dark is, getting all confused. We see him here today physically bouncing back and forth again. And we see him at the end of the day. He doesn't think that Jesus is deserving of death, but he also doesn't stop it. He just kind of steps back. And I think it forces us to begin to ask the question, is being neutral enough? Pilate, oh my gosh. He didn't think Jesus deserved to die, but he has the power to stop it, and he doesn't. He just steps back. It's neutral enough. So we don't want to be like the religious leaders who shout and crucify him. Do we want to be like Pilate, just kind of neutral in the matter? Or do we want to be more like the folks at the end? At the end of this reading, we see that you got some folks there at the foot of the cross. And Jesus even says to one of the disciples and to his mom, to Jesus' mom, hey, look, he is now your son and she is now your mother. He's like creating a new family that is the church. Do we want to be there? Three groups of people. Those that are actively trying to work against Jesus. People like Pilate who are just neutral. And those who are a part of God's family. Who are a part of God's work, part of God's household. We get to this point and we begin to realize neutral is not an option. So you reflect on the crucifixion. This is just kind of a different way to look at it. Again, building on yesterday. A lot of times we're bouncing back and forth between the light and the dark. Get confused about it. And more, I hope that we're people who fix our eyes on the truth. So what I'd encourage you to do today is just to read this passage and just reflect on it. Reflect on the truth that the Christian tradition has proclaimed for 2,000 years. And that is that Jesus willingly chose to die that we might live. For some people that seems like foolishness. It seems crazy. And yet we believe that it's the truth. So how is it that maybe you're remaining a bit neutral? I gotta ask myself that. How is it that I'm remaining a bit neutral? Not actively working against Jesus, but I actually want him to change me that I might believe more and more fully. To get my eyes on the light and away from the dark. So, God bless you, friends. Keep with your reading. Tomorrow we actually read about the death of Jesus. And I think it goes without saying, I hope for those of you that are in Dallas to see you on Sunday as we celebrate the resurrection, as we celebrate the biggest surprise in all of this, and that is that he doesn't stay dead. Okay. God bless you, friends. Keep with your reading, and I'll see you soon.